Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go on Google and you're gonna type in International Nurse BCCNM, and this is if you are going to be practicing in British Columbia, Canada. So for example, Vancouver, where I'm at right now. So that should be the first thing you would see here. So you can just quickly click that and you would see all information here about internationally educated nurses. It is pretty straightforward, but it can be overwhelming in the beginning if you see all this information, especially if you're not registered here in British Columbia, you're new, you're an IEN. So I can see how it can be overwhelming for some people. So also just a disclaimer here too from BCCNM that when you are sending your application for your registration for BCCNM, but also for your NCAS or your NCLEX, make sure that you're the one who's going to be submitting all your documents, all your applications. So if you're the RN, if you're the LPN, if you're the nurse who's going to be working, you need to submit your application, not another person. So if there's agencies or individuals asking for payment and they will submit their registration in behalf of you, make sure you don't give them any money because that's usually a scam. Okay, so when you go on the website here, it will talk about the registration, the process cost. So if you want to know how much it would cost, you can quickly just click that and it will say here. So for example, NCAS is the one that you will be submitting your application to in terms of your CBA and SLA. So we can talk about that in another video, but NCAS, no cost to applicant. It says here, and it's because the government, for under the IEN bursary program, the government will pay for that as well. Let me know in the comments if you guys want me to go over that with you as well. Credential assessment, I'll say here $120 to $650. And again, it is eligible for reimbursement through IEN bursary program. So you can just quickly look here or review this, or if you want to print it, that would be good too. And it will show you all the costs. And again, this is Canadian dollars, okay, because it's Canada. BCCNM registration application, which we're looking at right now, no cost to applicant, fee paid by the government of BC, which is perfect, right? Okay, so if you go under here and you can click how to apply. So there's some information here too. It talks about funding and other support, so you can just click that too. And then if you click this window, it will open a new window. 101 support, nurses educated in Australia, New Zealand, UK, or US. You can quickly click that too, and you can review that. And if you click learn more, it'll discuss it further. This one talks about BCCNM assessing most IEN application for LPNs and RNs at the same time. So if we click that, it talks about BCCNM can assess not just for RN but LPN at the same time as well, and you can submit just one application. Applicants also have the option of applying as a healthcare assistant through the healthcare aide and community health worker. BCCNM does not regulate healthcare assistants. So for BCCNM, it's only LPN and RNs. Basically, what they're talking about here is you can submit an application not just for registered nurse, but also as an LPN. And with some individuals, for example, I had students before who would apply for the LPN, the RN, but they would also apply for healthcare aid. You can do that as well, but it's not going to be under BCCNM. So it talks about why you would want to do that, because it gives you the option to enter the healthcare workforce sooner. So for example, some students, like I had some nursing students where they didn't qualify right away to be a registered nurse, but they qualify as an LPN or licensed practical nurse. So if that's something you want to do, it's good to apply for both at the same time because you can do it in one application. So some of my nursing students before, they started working as an LPN, and then eventually they were able to register for RN once they did like more studying, more courses. Okay, so nursing professions in British Columbia. So it talks about in BC, there's LPNs, there's nurse practitioners, registered nurses, and RPNs or registered psych nurses. It talks about immigration visas and work permits. For BCCNM, they don't give any advice in regards to immigration or visa. So you have to do that through the government. So you can also go over or review Health Match BC because they would talk about that. Because I think immigration related, the BCCNM doesn't touch that. Okay, so if you look here, I'll talk about how to apply. So Inspire Global Assessment, maybe you know it as NCAS. It used to be called NCAS, but it's Inspire Global Assessment now. So it says here the first thing you have to do is apply to Inspire Global Assessment, or formerly NCAS. So for Inspire Assessments, you can just go to this website. So you can just click that. So we can do that right now, and then it'll open their website here. Please leave in the comments too if you want me to go over this, but maybe on another video for that one. So for Inspire Global Assessments, we'll go back to the BCCNM. It talks about assessing language proficiency, educational credentials, and like I was saying earlier, the CBA and the SLA, and that's something the NCAS would do. And or Inspire Global Assessment. Okay, so they're the one, NCAS or Inspire Global Assessment, they're the one who will assess your current knowledge but also your skills as well. So it's going to be two exams. One is written and one is more skills based. So it's like a nursing simulation. And that is for the Inspire Global Assessment or NCAS. So BCCNM is saying here that you should apply to Inspire Global Assessment or NCAS first. And once you do that, then you can come back to BCCNM and then start an application. However, it also says here that they do recommend that you work towards completing the requirements for your NCAS and BCCNM applications at the same time to ensure you can move through the registration process as quickly as possible. So what it means is apply for NCAS first or Inspire Global Assessment, but at the same time, while you're applying for the Inspire Global Assessment and NCAS, also get your requirements ready for BCCNM, because once you apply to Inspire Global Assessment, you can go to BCCNM and submit your application, which is step 2 here. So apply to BCCNM. So for your application, you just need to make a new account if you haven't already, or if you already have an account, then you can just sign in with your previous account. In your BCCNM, that's where you would submit all your application, and someone from the registration services team will review your documents. And once they review your documents, they will send you an email stating what you need to do, what are the next steps that you need to do. For BCCNM, what would they require from you? So they would require some documents from your employer. So it'll say here, employers, you will need to ask your current and previous employers to fill out a form to confirm. So for all of your documents from your employers, it needs to be your employer submitting those applications. So it's going to ask for your position. So if you were a registered nurse previously, let's say in the Philippines or India or Australia, area of practice. So where did you practice? Is it emerge? Is it ICU, medicine, surgical? How many hours did you work before? The dates you were employed with the organization. So if you're not in Canada yet, if you're still in the Philippines or India or the country where you practice, I suggest going to your employer and getting those documents sorted already and talking to your employer that you are going to Canada, so you will need all these documents from them. So, because the worst thing is coming here to Canada and then you have to go back to the Philippines or India just to get all those sorted. Or I suggest also having someone to assist you. So, maybe a family member or friends who can help you, or someone you know where you worked in before in the hospital. Regulatory body, so just like here in Vancouver, it's going to be BCCNM. So for example, in the Philippines, you would have your own nursing regulatory body. So you would need documents from them as well. So it needs to say the dates you were registered for, your initial nursing program completion date, any exams you were required to write to be granted registration. So, for example, NCLEX. Information about any investigations into your professional conduct, your current standing with the regulator. So, if you're still practicing or non practicing. BCCNM registration services will send you the form to be completed by the regulator. They will also accept the standard form certificate used by the regulator. So, like I said earlier, once you submit your application or once you open an application, someone from BCCNM will review those documents and then they will email you regarding more information. So, for example, if they need more documents from you or from your employer or regulatory bodies. Okay, so final requirements. BCCNM will review your application once they have received all of your documents. So all the forms and documents have been filled out by your employer and regulatory bodies, then they will review that. Inspire or NCAS sends BCCNM your Inspire applicant package. So, like it says earlier, you have to submit your application first to NCAS and then BCCNM. So, make sure you do that first. With NCAS, they will do a different review as well of your documents. So that's another thing. So make sure you research and review that as well. And like I said, if you want me to go over that, let me know in the comments as well. After BCCNM has reviewed all your documents, they will share the final requirements you must complete before you are eligible for registration. So before you can practice in BC, you need to have all your requirements done. Everything is sorted, and BCCNM will let you know again through your email. So make sure you are checking your email, nothing in your junk folder as well. So make sure you check that as well, because that's how they would let you know in terms of your results for your application and registration. They will also let you know if you need to do more education or coursework. Will be based on your individual circumstances. So that's going to be based on your NCAS results. So the Inspire Global Assessment or your NCAS. So it's going to be based on your CBA and your SLA and all of your documents that you previously submitted. However, though, if you are educated in Australia, New Zealand, or the UK or the United States, it's going to be different. It's going to be a lot easier. So if you are coming from those countries, then it's a different application because it's going to be quicker. Okay, so the fourth step would be provisional registration and registration exam. So if you haven't written your NCLEX yet, this is when you would be eligible to write your NCLEX. Or some students, I had nursing students before that they actually took their NCLEX first. So for your NCLEX, it would be NCLEX for RNs or REXPN for LPNs if you are going to be submitting for LPN instead. Once you have completed all your additional education requirements, please ask the school to send confirmation of your course completion to IEN application. So if you did some coursework, so for example, like BCIT or Douglas, then the school, Douglas or BCIT or Langara, has to submit all those coursework to BCCNM. So again, it's not going to be you sending it, it's going to be the school, just like your employers. They're the one who's going to send that. If choose to hold provisional registration, we'll send you another email with instructions on how to pay your registration fee through your BCCN account. Important, you are not authorized to practice as a nurse until you are listed in the online directory as a provisional registrant. So it's the BCCNM who's going to decide if you can practice as provisional until you get your full practicing, which is the final step. And that's the time to celebrate. You have your full registration. So once you have successfully completed the registration exam and under any remaining requirements, then that's when you can have your practicing registration. If you held provisional registration, your registration will be automatically be updated in the online directory. So if you are practicing as provisional before, but now you have your full registration, you don't have to do anything. BCCNM will automatically change that under the directory. Okay, if you don't hold the professional, so if you didn't want to do the professional, so you cannot practice as a nurse until you are listed as a practicing. So some students as well, they wanted to wait until for sure that they passed the NCLEX, that for sure they passed everything before they wanted to practice. They didn't want to practice as professional. That's okay as well. So however, you cannot practice until you have a license, so either a full registration or professional. Okay, so that's BCCNM, and again, you can just easily go over the website is my suggestion. You can also go over the frequently asked questions because maybe it's something that's been asked before and it might be here as well. So again, if you want me to go over NCAS or Inspire Global Assessments or how to book your NCLEX, please let me know in the comments below. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me as well. Thank you so much for watching.